Hey, good morning guys. Touch coming at you Wednesday, June 14th, just coming up to 10 o'clock in the morning. And trying to do a couple hours in the garage today before I have to take off to go to Montreal for a few days. So we are at T-minus 95, getting down in days. Starting to get worried. Anyway, figured we'd come out and do a couple power hours on the car before I go. And what I'd really like to do today, and I don't know whether this is going to work or not, is sort of clean this wheel well up a little bit and get some of this, I believe this is undercoating and glue. I'm going to try to get some of this off to clean it up a bit. It's going to be a problem when I start to weld on this stuff. It's just going to burn and melt, so I need to clean that up before I start doing any welding. And the other thing I'd like to do today would be to try and make this patch for this area here. I did come out last night and didn't really make much progress. First thing I did was break my my shop light and it went downhill from there. So so it's a little bit of a complex patch. As you can see, it's not a straight patch, so I'll actually have to make this little undulation in here to be able to weld this in properly, and then obviously I need to make a flange for it. So I'm hoping to make this a one-piece patch. So that's what I'm out here to do today, is to maybe make a cardboard template and then make the patch. I don't know whether I'll get it welded in today or not, but we'll try to make the patch anyway and get it ready to go for when I get back on the weekend. So that's the plan for today. There's a quick template of the patch that I need to make, and I've also made some references to where I need to actually push this flange down to be able to match up with this depression in the rear shelf. So what we're going to do is we're going to probably cut a piece of sheet metal, and I've got a chisel punch set that I'm probably just going to try to pound this lip down a little bit just to match it up with the lip of the shelf floor so I can weld it in properly. And we're going to bend a flange on here as well. I've just got it indicated here. So we'll see if we can make that patch in metal. I decided to make another template because I decided to trim this out a little bit on this side, as I noticed there was still a bunch of brazing in there, so I wasn't going to be able to weld to that. So I've just trimmed that off a little bit more and gone ahead and made another template. So we're going to work with the new template and cut a piece of metal, form it, and see if we can fit it in there. Alright guys, we've got the patch made. It's a bit of a difficult patch to make. It's kind of undulating, you know, obviously up and down down again and then back up again. So we've got that made, and it seems to fit in there not too badly. Something like that. So we'll obviously do a little hammering when we go to weld this in. So I think we're going to attempt to tack it in, and we'll finish forming it a little bit with a little ball peen hammer as we go along. But I think that's going to be better than the big gaping hole that was there. Alright guys, there's the new patch welded in. I think it looks not too bad. It's all over but the grinding. I think we'll maybe try to finish this up with a little bit of grinding, and then we're going to call it a day and get packed for our trip. Alright guys, maybe we'll come back with one final shot with it ground down. Alright guys, there's the patch in. I'm not going to go crazy on the welding or on the grinding. It's not an area that's going to be seen anyway, so I'd rather leave a little bit of weld if possible, just to leave it a little bit stronger. I did actually grind through my edge over here, so I'm going to have to go back and throw a little weld in there. Other than that, it's nice and solid and strong, so I'm happy with that. And it's much better than that big ugly pocket for the air shock that they cut out of there. So we'll call that done, and we'll start restructuring the rest of the inside with this inner wheel tub. Alright guys, welcome back. Saturday, June 17th, just after 11:15 in the morning. Happy to be back from my Montreal trip. I was supposed to be back later today, but I ended up coming back last night after work. I drove the 5.5 hours home, so pretty tired when I got home, but happy to be home last night as opposed to later today. So I could at least spend a little bit of time out here this morning and this afternoon working back on the 250 and getting that big gaping hole fixed over there. Anyway, back to the calendar. We are at T-minus 92. Of according to the calendar. So I think what we're going to do today, man, this garage is getting cluttered. I'm having a hard time walking around and buy stuff. I think what we're going to do today, or the plan for today, is to do a couple things. One is I'd like to clean this, keep getting hung up on this car. One is to get this, all this undercoating and crap cleaned off of the wheel well, so I can, when I weld this piece back in here, I'm not going to get a bunch of flare-ups and flame-ups. So we want to definitely do that at some point today. The other thing we'd like to do is to actually maybe start working on this bump stop piece and get this fixed up. So we'll probably grind this up, clean it up, throw it in the blaster, and repair where it needs to be repaired and get it ready to go back on the car. So that's the plan anyway for today. So we'll come back when we make some progress. Alright guys, we've got that inner wheel well looking much better. I stripped it basically with the heat gun and then some brake cleaner and then the wire brush down to original paint and primer, as you can see. Looks a lot better than this, and now I can see where I need to weld, plus I can get the welds looking a little bit better with all that stuff cleaned up and not have to worry about that melting and catching on fire. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this brace here, and then we're going to replace that fully as opposed to just, you know, tack welding a piece back on the bottom. So I'm going to remove that piece now, and then I think we're going to tackle that bottom shock mount bump stop. Alright guys, we're just in the process of making a template to fill in that main piece of the wheel well. We've left a little bit down the bottom. We're going to fix that secondarily, as there's some work that needs to be done down in that corner. So we'll get the bulk of it fixed first. So we'll go ahead and make that template into a patch, and we'll get it tacked in there. Alright guys, we've got our flange just sprayed with some weld-through primer. We did go ahead and fix that area that we needed to repair as far as the welding was concerned. So we fixed that area and ground it up smooth. We've also coated the back side of our patch here with some weld-through primer. And you can see I've got the holes drilled for the spot welds. So this patch is pretty much ready to go. It's probably the largest patch that I've done on a car, I think. But anyway, it's all ground down. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a bit of a break. We'll let the weld-through primer dry. We'll come back and we're going to do the trick of placing the panel up there and using a dull drill bit to sort of clean the areas behind where the spot welds are going to go without actually removing the primer from the actual most of the, you know, 99% of the flange. So not sure who mentioned that on the Garage Gang. Might have been Wendell, or Fireman, but we're going to try that out, and before we do the plug welds. Some pretty good thunder showers passing through this afternoon. Not necessarily a bad thing. Hopefully it gets rid of some of the humidity. As long as it doesn't hail, I'm okay. Well, the thunder and lightning has stopped, but as you can see, maybe you can't read French, but it'll switch back to English shortly. So it's about 3:30 or so, and we've got a possible tornado on the way. Damaging winds, large hail, locally intense rainfall. Dangerous situation. Anyway, so we'll be on the lookout for a tornado. So yeah, I never like to hear damaging hail. Last thing I want to do is have my cars damaged. So anyway, we'll keep an eye out. It's still raining, so no thunder and lightning, so I think we'll go back to working on welding that patch panel in while we still can. Alright, quick update guys. We're making progress on that patch. We've now got it tacked in there, and obviously we're working from the other side, but I thought I'd give you a quick shot of the back side. Just taking a little bit of a break to let that cool down, then we'll start stitching some of those areas together. So you can see the area where I've left down at the bottom. Like I said, we need to do a little work down in that area. There's been a patch put over the top there. You can see that piece that's been welded in there. So I'm not sure how we're going to fix that, but we'll make it look a lot better than it is currently. Alright, the bottom of the box is off. So there's what it looks like. It's fairly easy to get it off because there's not much metal left with it attached to. Anyway, so we're trying to figure out how we want to do this repair. I think I want to repair it up to this area here based on what I see as far as rust in the back is concerned and what I need to do as far as getting high enough to get to good metal. So I think that's where the repair section is going to be. I'm trying to decide whether I want to do this as a one piece and try to bend this, or whether I want to do it as a multiple piece, because I don't have anything to bend this with other than a little bench vise, so it gets a little bit difficult when you're doing multiple bends. Anyway, we'll figure it out. I just wanted to give you a quick look at that before I decide what I want to do. All I know is I got to cut this, so maybe we'll do that. Alright guys, we've made a paper template of the piece, and it goes something like that, as you can see. So what we're going to do is we're going to scribe this out onto metal, and we'll attempt to make it as a one piece. Not sure whether it's going to work or not, but I guess it doesn't hurt to try. So we'll give it a shot first, and if not, then we'll make it in multiple pieces. Alright guys, and in case you were wondering, like I was, this is actually made out of 16 gauge. I'm fortunate that I have some 16 gauge here, but I thought I would measure it before. I had a feeling that it was 16 gauge. The normal bodywork is 18 gauge, so we're going to make this out of 16 gauge, which obviously makes it a little bit more difficult to bend as well. So gives me more of a concern about being able to bend this effectively, but we'll give it a shot. So as I suspected, it's a little bit difficult to get this bent into one piece since I don't have a brake. So I'm struggling with this bottom flange. Obviously, once I get it in my vise, I can only go so far to be able to hammer it because the top piece gets in the way, and I can't create a good sharp edge here. So that is the issue. Anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll make it into multiple pieces. So back to the drawing board. All right, guys, quick update for you. Just coming up to 9:30. And I think we're done for the night. It's been a long day. I didn't get as much done today as I'd wanted to, but we got a few things accomplished, like that big patch. Still not ground down, but at least in there. And we did manage to finally figure out a way to fabricate that lower piece. So what I've done here is I've just basically made it in 3 pieces, and we're just going to weld this all the way along solid. Tomorrow we'll finish it up, but it actually fits very well. Probably can't really show you here, but I've got it fitting pretty darn well back to the original piece, which is good. And if I show you the cap piece, let me see if I can do this one-handed, probably not. But the cap piece actually fits pretty much perfectly on it as well. Let me just see if I can flip this up. Sorry for the shaky camera. There's the cap piece that came off the old. There we go. So there's the cap piece that came off the old bottom. So we'll make a new cap, and we'll spot weld that in place like this one. And then we'll put it back on the car. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that, the way that turned out. It was a little bit more labor intensive than I thought it was going to be, but in the end we got her done, so that's all that's important. Or pretty close to being done. Just got to finish weld, attach it obviously to the top piece, and drill some holes for some plug welds, and we'll put it on the car tomorrow and finish up that passenger side, and then move on to the worst side, which is the driver's side. It'll give me an opportunity to get rid of a lot of that brazing, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. Plus we'll get rid of that ugly pocket again. Alright guys, that's it for tonight. We'll upload this, we'll get a fresh start tomorrow, and hopefully bright and early, and we'll make the most of the day. Alright guys, talk to you tomorrow.